Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically. Talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands. Not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. Never know who's gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this. Just having fun with our special guest. Time for Stage Select.
And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
And I'm Justin Ham. I wasn't ready, but here we are. Let's see. What do I have to talk about today? There's a lot of music on the WWE game, and some of it is fine. Baby Metal's a weird fucking band. They're fucking
I thought you liked
weird.
Baby Metal.
They're fine.
Mm.
They're not bad, but they're weird, man.
Mm.
In kind of a way that I super appreciate, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no,
I've been hearing a lot of scuttlebutt that like a lot of people are considering like the current slate of WWE entrance music to be like some of the worst of all time.
Oh, this is an entrance music. No, I will agree with that. That's a different discussion entirely. No, this is the music on the game that they licensed to put out and shit like that.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a Baby Metal track on there, and I was sitting there like, this is weird. It starts out awful. Like the track on the game, it starts out so terrible. And then like as it goes, I was like, okay, this is really stupid, and I kind of appreciate it for that.
It's kind of weird that they go the extra mile to like get a bunch of licensed music for those games, because like back in the day it used to just be like the music from the wrestlers, and then I mean, of course they had like at the time, like, Marilyn Manson was doing the theme song for, he didn't do the theme song, but it was a Marilyn Manson song was the SmackDown theme. So you had that going, but like but all the other rest of the music in the game was just the WWE music.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if that was SmackDown or Raw that had the beautiful people or whatever.
Oh, that was SmackDown.
It was
100%.
SmackDown? I think you're right.
Yeah. Because, at the time it was just the SmackDown game.
Yes.
So, and I think that was probably around the time of, it was either Shut Your Mouth or Here Comes the Pain, whichever one that I played the shit out of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I played the shit out of all three of those games, but like
they were good.
I think Shut Your Mouth is probably the one, because that's the one that I like really sunk a shit ton of time into.
Yeah, one of those had that on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, WWE music has always been I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about the music in the games now. It's always been kind of what you said. It's either that or like, they don't have quite the capacity to put the actual theme on there, like the N64 ones or whatever. They had it. They had some of it, but I imagine that's why you had to have the expansion pack for those games. Mm-hmm. But like the quality was kind of terrible, but it worked. It was fine.
Yeah.
But also the main music was the fucking diggity dog like that.
Yeah. Socko.
Oh my god, it's one of the all-time greats though. I don't care what anyone says. It's kind of great.
It's right up there with call me Junior. Call me Junior.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
I gotta say that one of the things that I liked about those Aki wrestling games, both the WCW ones and the WWF ones, was how over the top they went for the attract modes.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're wild.
WCW versus NWO Revenge is insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. Hulk Hogan is driving a semi truck and then almost hits Sting and drives off the. It's fucking. It needs to be seen to believed. It's kind of off the fucking rails in a wonderful way. Honestly, there's the story modes in those were pretty fucking wild too, if I remember right. For at least back in the day, they were neat. But yeah, wrestling game music. Yeah, a lot of times it's like you said, I don't know why they license the tracks either. I think it's just like what 2K does.
Yeah, the only thing that I can figure is they're trying to make it like a legit sports video game because that's what sports video games do.
That's my only guess. I don't really know why they need to do it either.
Feels you're just wasting money on something that nobody gives a shit about.
To their credit, a lot of the times it's been like bands that have been featured on WWE. Like NXT always like licenses a song for their pay-per-view, and that's what they use on like the the matchup screens and shit like that. They'll use that song. Occasionally they've had people like show up and perform at them and all this other stuff. They're usually not very good, but sometimes they'll be like, okay, here's this band that's been on NXT or whatever, and you're like, all right, yeah, sure, bring me the horizon, that's fine.
See, now I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but like I've heard a lot of people complain about that showcase mode from the last like few years because of like how rigid the gameplay is and everything. But if they went the extra mile to like license like the music that were used for like the packages, like in my head right now I'm thinking of that like the Limp Bizkit one where it was like I think it was Stone Cold and the Rock.
Oh, My Way,
feuding.
Yeah, that's a famous one.
Yeah. It's like one of the all-time greats. And like if they actually like had that whole thing and the video package, but then it's also interspersed with you playing it, I'd kind of get.
I mean,
like,
they to their credit, like they'll dig into like the archives and get like the old themes and stuff that those wrestlers came out to at the time of those shows. A lot of the time.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is pretty. They do actually put some detail in there.
That was a thing that I always wanted when I went back in the day when I was still like playing these games hot and heavy. Is I wish that you could just have like all of like the wrestlers' themes, like even like even like old versions of them and stuff like that, or wrestlers who weren't there anymore. Because sometimes you just want like some of the cheesy like original stuff. Like
I can tell you why they don't now. It's a lot to do with disk space.
Sure, and I'm sure back then especially, right?
Oh, yeah. Like audio takes up a lot of room.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I'm kind of with you. There's times where I'm like, man, it'd be really cool if like, people that weren't there anymore, because then I can just steal their themes and not worry about it. Like, he's wherever now, fuck him. Like,
exactly.
It's not no big deal. I will say the one thing that they do that I do like, and I wish they'd add more of these, is they'll add like original tracks in there every now and then, like just for entrance themes. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, they used to do that back in the day too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I wish they'd do more of this, like, because some of that stuff's been there for like fucking ever. Like it's the same tracks. I'm like, no, you should add more of these. And every now and then they'll be like, here's one or two, and I'm like, oh, just make like 5. Fuck these licensed tracks and just make these. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Use this as the music for the menu. Nobody really gives a shit if Eminem's in the fucking soundtrack. I mean, it's a good Eminem song. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not. It's actually a good song.
Yeah, but nobody playing that game is gonna be like, oh man, this game feels cheap because like it doesn't have like some recognizable. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Well, real quick, just one announcement before we jump into the show. Justin Ham was on A Gamer Looks at 40.
Oh, I was.
You were.
Good.
So I wasn't going to say it when I announced it on here, but Bill actually cops to it in the actual episode.
Okay.
You were the first person that he interviewed for Final Fantasy VII, Justin.
Oh, neat.
But because he interviewed you so early, he forgot to actually pass the audio file along to his editors.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, because I DM'd him and I was like, I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard Justin yet, or was he just so in the weeds right away that like you didn't really spend a lot of time on like introduction and stuff like that? And he's like, I don't know, let me check. And then he was like about a week later, he was like, yeah, so it turns out that like I just forgot to give my editors the file.
Oh, nice.
So so what he ended up doing, and it actually ended up being pretty cool, is he did an episode the week before with someone. It was just one interview with one guy who did not like Final Fantasy VII. He was like, he didn't like it when it came out.
Okay.
Right? But he loved Final Fantasy. Like he was a fan of Final Fantasy, but like the game came out and he just couldn't give a shit.
Fair.
And so yours was like the counterbalance to that of someone who, really loved the game and it's really important to you.
Yeah.
I will admit that I couldn't finish the episode with the other guy because it was like the epitome to me of the South Park episode where Stan like has a birthday and then like all the music he listens to sounds like shit to him. And like he goes to see the doctor And the doctor's like, oh, it's just because you're getting older. Like, as we get older, you know, the stuff that we used to love as kids starts to sound like shit.
Yeah.
And then he plays like some Bob Dylan or something, and Stan's like, no, that sounds like shit to me too. And he's like, this sounds like shit? He's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, you might have a rare condition that we call being an asshole.
Ah.
And like that's, you know, not
Okay.
like that's kind of how this guy came across, where I was like, his thing was like, oh yeah, like, you know, the death of Aerith was like so pathetic because like I'd seen death so many times in Final Fantasy, and it's like, yeah, I had too, but the way that it was shot and the way that it was written, and like, you know, like the needle drop of her theme, like as the materia falls, it's super well done. Like, and so anyway, like, I'm not making any friends on this podcast.
You apparently not. No. What are you gonna do?
But your interview was very good, and actually there was someone who's like a regular guest of Bill's that was like, oh, I need to have Justin on because I really had fun listening to him.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anytime that person.
Well, they're the ones that
I know.
Yes. I think they've already been in touch. Sorry,
it's
dude.
Fine.
My brain is not here.
It's okay.
We'll get to it a little later. But that episode, the link to that episode will be in the show notes for this episode, but definitely go check it out. If you need a little bit more Justin Ham in your life, and as Bill said in that episode, everybody needs more Justin Ham in their lives.
I don't know about that. I don't need any more of me.
No, well, I will say that because I didn't have a lot of bandwidth for playing video games this week, it was nice that you happened to be off and streaming.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like this is nice.
Yeah. I'll just play this game for you. Yeah, that sounds right.
But I will kick it off.
Sure.
I beat Balatro, Justin.
You beat it?
Yeah. It said I won.
Oh, so, okay. Well, hey, there you go.
I won. It's, you know, I'm done. Like
that's it. The end.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised. You know, I heard so many people talk about how many hours they had spent to finish this game, and it's like,
they're all just
I don't know. You guys are lame.
They're all just super bad at video games, Julian. You're the master at them, really.
I am the master at video. I am the number one Balatro player in the
one,
world
with a bullet.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I won so fast.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, yeah, I got to, you know, I finished Ante 8 for the first time earlier this week, and I got to say, now I'm starting to understand what people were saying about like not needing to know poker. I think that it's definitely helpful if you know it.
Yeah,
super helpful if you know it. So for me, it was like a big struggle at the beginning. But one of the things that game does really well, and it's going to take a while. Well, I think it depends on your luck, right?
Yeah.
But once you get a joker that kind of has you looking at hands in a way that you weren't looking at them before, that makes all the difference. And so for me, what it ended up being was a joker that made straights possible with skipping numbers.
Yo, I love that one. Yep.
Yeah. And so that, because I was like, oh, right, I forgot that straights are a thing.
Yes.
And so, you know, so for that whole run, like I'm looking for straights. And then I got then not long after that, I got like another one that was kind of focusing on a different type of hand.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, now I still remember to look for straights, but now I also know how to do this and whatnot. And I can't tell you what the names of like the things are. Like I still can't tell you. Well, I know what a straight is, but I can't tell you like what a flush is or a royal flush or.
Oh, flush is just all the same suit.
Okay, yeah,
there you go.
Like, and I have been doing that, but I don't know what it is. I just just seeing what it is. And
if you have all clubs, that's a flush. Believe it or not, ranks higher than a straight. It's harder to get a flush than it is a straight. Doesn't feel like it would be, but it is.
No, for sure. Because I've definitely lost games because I was trying to get a
I know,
yeah.
Flush. It was funny on our Game of the Year episode when I was talking to Weston about that, and he was like, "Oh, you just shoot for flushes all the time." I'm like, "Man, I don't know about that. Like statistically, it's tough to do. I get it, but like you can stack the deck in such a way where like you start to just hit flushes no problem." Yeah. My favorite combination of things is when you get the card you just mentioned, and then you get a card that makes it to where you can make them with just 4 cards, and so you can almost play anything, and it'll fucking score, and it's crazy. Like it starts to go off, and it's great.
One that I'm liking right now that I've gotten a couple times is the one where I think it's like diamonds and hearts count as the same.
Yes.
And then spades and clubs count as the same.
Blurred
the only downside is that when one of those gets
nuked, it nukes them all. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Nukes half the deck.
And then I played a round before getting on the show tonight where like basically like 3 of the cards were debuffed for this one. But I had a tarot card that would change the suits to up to 3 cards, and I was like, will this work? And then sure enough it did.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. Like that was a really cool way of getting around that.
Another fun thing to keep in mind that sometimes it's hard to remember when you're in the thick of things, when you get to those boss blinds that like have something that turns your entire deck off because you have a joker that like makes everything a face card, but now face cards can't score, right? Turns your entire deck off. Your entire deck's fucked.
Right.
You can sell that joker in the middle of the round and then suddenly it's fine.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, I didn't think of it until I like randomly was sitting there like, man, this sucks. And I was like, oh, I can just sell this. And it's like, it sucks because my whole deck's kind of built around this, but like, at least I keep going. I don't die right here, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thing to keep in mind. Justin's Balatro advice for the day.
There you go. And I've gotten up to, I think about like ante 5 or 6 on the next stake up for the red deck. And then today I was actually playing with the deck that I unlocked after beating it with the red deck, which is like the magic deck. My favorite one to mess around with that isn't one of the unlockable ones was it's unlockable, but like it's just like one of the colored decks is the yellow one. Oh, I've got that one.
Yeah. All it does, Julian, is give you more money to start with. But that makes such a difference in like how you actually like start everything and can like, okay, yeah, I have money to do things and set up a little bit beforehand and get going. And it's like, it's actually kind of fun that way.
Yeah.
Highly recommend the yellow deck until you get into like some of the really wild busted ones that you unlock.
Right. So that's that. I guess I'll do my new thing and then Justin can talk about his thing, and then we'll close with I beat Persona 3, so I have final thoughts, but I'll save that for the end of the show so that y'all can bounce early if you're sick of me talking about Persona 3. I did start Suikoden 1 HD Remaster because my game came in over the weekend.
Nice.
And like it was delivered on Sunday of all times, and I actually finished Persona 3 that day, and then I was like, gonna start Suikoden. Why not? And I'm actually playing it like I found a really good guide that I've used. It's RPG site, and I've used their guides before. And it's nice because it's like an all trophy guide.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily planning on trying to get all the trophies for these games.
Yeah,
but I would like to get all 108 stars on both of the games because I've never done that.
That's the way to go. Yeah. I've done it on Suikoden 1, but I've never finished Suikoden 2. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with this collection so far.
Okay, good.
I'm glad that it exists. Like, it feels like on one hand, like Suikoden is a series that's like highly regarded, but on the other hand, also easily forgotten.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense?
No, 100%. Yeah. It is highly regarded, and it's mostly these two.
Yes.
That people like 3, 4, and 5 have their fans. I'm a big fan of 4 and 5 for whatever fucking reason. Like, but I bet if I went back and played 4 and 5, I'd probably be like, these aren't as good as I remember. But like, and 3 I've never finished. I remember starting 3 and never getting around to finishing it.
Chris is where it's at.
Yeah.
No, I never played that one.
So. Yeah. But yeah, 4 had a pirate ship. I don't know. I had a good time playing that stupid thing. But yeah, like they're highly regarded, but I feel like after 2, they sort of like had a downward trend, and then people just kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit. They still made them, but
it kind of went the Wild Arms route, which was these sequels are coming out really fast.
Yes,
and like the excitement with each sequel is like half of what the previous game was.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because what I played Wild Arms 1 and I really loved it, and I didn't bother with Wild Arms 2 because what people may not remember is Wild Arms 1 came out right before Final Fantasy 7. So
I
it was like
remember.
the perfect time for that game to come out because it got invalidated almost immediately.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was
And
crazy.
then Wild Arms 2 just seemed like more of the same. And I was like, well, but Final Fantasy, though.
Yeah.
So I never looked back, but it did get a bunch of sequels.
Oh,
and
it got a lot of sequels. Yeah.
yeah. Including like there's some PSP games that like I can't even remember the names of, but yeah, this series feels kind of like that, where it's just like bam, 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 and then like dead.
Yeah.
Like just dead in the water. And it's cool. So I guess, you know, if you're thinking about picking this up and you haven't paid attention to it, I guess expectation needs to be managed in a certain way, because this is not an HD remake like Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous like remaster of these two games. That, you know, I'm playing this on an 85-inch television. It looks beautiful, you know, like nice sharp pixels, like, you know, the environments look nice. Yeah. They redid all of the portraits, and those are very nice.
That's good.
I do wish, and I guess, you know, because it's more of a remaster, right? Like I was kind of hoping they would update the portraits with like facial expressions, a la like a Persona.
Yeah.
But since the game isn't programmed around that anyway, like that would have been...
That would require a lot more work under the hood, probably.
Then you're treading into like remake territory at that point. Why not just redo the graphics, right?
Yeah.
It is retranslated. So,
that's good. It needed it. That game really needed it. Yes.
And I'm not far enough in to really like know for sure how I feel about the translation. I've seen like some scuttlebutt. There's certain things that are a little awkward and stuff like that. But Suikoden 1 and 2 came out in a time when translations were still very like hit or miss.
Oh yeah.
And like 2 in particular is god awful as far as like translation goes. Like it's up there with Final Fantasy Tactics as being like, what is even happening right now?
I believe it.
That sentence did not make any sense, right? I don't remember Suikoden 1 being that bad, because when I played it like back around 2021 or so, I thought it was fine.
I think Suikoden 1 benefits a little bit from it being kind of a much more simpler story.
Yes. Shorter.
Yeah, and shorter. So I don't think it's pretty bad in spots, because I remember like reading shit and be like, that is not what they meant to say there. Mm-hmm. But it was never like, I don't know what's going on. It was always like, yeah, that's just really awkwardly phrased, or like just a complete like typo fudge fest, and it is a whole thing. But yeah, like it was never like, I don't know what's happening, because like the story's pretty straightforward in that one. So
for sure,
these guys are bad and we must make an army to fight bad. And you go, okay, cool.
Yes, but you start as the bad guys.
You do start as the bad guys. That is how that works. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm always a fan of that setup for an RPG. And so, you know, I'm going off of this guide, and like the guide does say that like, hey, you know, there is a trophy for beating the game on hard. So if you're wanting that trophy, you need to start the game on hard, because you can't change it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered back, you know, when I played it on the PS Vita, like I said, around like 2020, 2021, somewhere around there, that the game was like a cakewalk. Like I remember like just like breezing through it. And I was like, you know what? Okay, like I'll take a page from Weston's book. I'll put this on hard. I'm sure it'll be fine. Take a step out of the town, because like the guide does recommend like leveling your character up to about 10.
That sounds about right.
So the guide, you know, so part of this is on me. So the guide says is like, you can get an extra like fortune orb if you make it to this one town by yourself. Okay. Without getting your party. But it said like, before you do that, you're going to want to level up to about like 9 or 10 and like upgrade your weapon a couple times at the town south, and then head for this other town.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. Like that sounds like the way to go. If I'm playing it on hard, it would probably be a good idea to grind a little early anyway.
Yeah. And
maybe grind a little extra along the way. All right, no problem. You know, walk around a little bit right outside of the first town to like get into a battle. One shot, game over.
Oof.
And I'm like, that's weird. That's got to be a fluke. So, you know, reload, go back out, get into a battle with a different monster this time.
Yeah.
One shot, game over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So I reload, get into a battle, don't get one shot at this time. I actually get to attack.
Okay.
For 1 hit point of damage. Then the enemy attacks, one shot, game over.
Yikes.
And I'm like, this game is not fucking around.
No.
Holy shit.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to give it a couple more tries. And then we're just restarting and we're putting it on normal because this is insane. And so then I got into what I feel is an actual beatable battle for when you're level 1.
Yeah.
And mind you, it took me, I think, like 3 turns in that fight to actually kill the thing.
Oh, sure.
But then he leveled up like 5 times, and I was like, okay, yeah, this
The leveling in Suikoden is fucking wild.
It is, and I'd forgotten that it's a game where you level up every 1,000 experience points, which is a really cool way of getting lower level characters up to speed. Because
that's why they did it that way.
In a game with so many characters, right? Like it would suck to get like someone new.
Sometimes you're just gonna like their idea probably was, well, sometimes people are gonna find a new character and they're gonna be like, oh man, I wish I had this guy in my party, and they'll put him in their party, but they'll be low level, but they're gonna level up super quick as long as you have 5 other people around them. Shouldn't be a big deal, right?
Yeah. And again, if I had Ted with me, then there would have been somebody else to like take some damage, and I probably could have won my first battle and actually leveled up, but that wasn't the case. Now I will say, now I'm about 3 hours in, and it's still a cakewalk. Like,
okay,
I just did the fight where you fight like the 2 like quote unquote thieves that end up joining your army later on.
Yeah,
it's
is that Flynn and Victor?
No. Before Flynn and Victor.
Oh, the thieves that join your army later on. Oh, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah. What is it? Is it Sanon? Or so the one dude has like really like flamboyant like hair. It's like he looks like Yamcha, but with like a dye job.
Yeah.
And then the older guy, I think, is like Psychic. I forget, but but he's like an older guy. It's where like you're tasked to like they're like accused of like skipping out on their taxes. And yeah. Basically, like the first turn I beat the dude that looked like Yamcha, and the second turn I beat the other guy. Like It was like no problem. Like, and because I'm at this point in the game where like people don't have magic yet, I've just been hitting like triangle for auto battle, and it's been like nothing.
Even when I was younger, that game seemed easier. There was I know there's a couple fights, and now that when I played it, I want to say it was like, I don't know, 2019, 2018 last time I played it. I remember getting to the fights that I had a tough time with when I was 11 or 12, and being like, oh, this wasn't near as bad as I thought it was. Like, this is actually pretty easy. Like the one that I always remember was the you fight a dragon when you actually get the headquarters or whatever, and I remember that fight like being kind of hard. I remember that being a difficulty spike, but doing it now, I was like, yeah, no, that wasn't that hard.
Right.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And I remembered. It's funny how your memory works from that time, because I would get to certain spots in that game and be like, I remember this dungeon being so fucking long. And then I'd get there and be like, oh, that was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. There's the Dwarf Fortress was the one that I remember being like, oh man, this one's a fucking long one. I remember this. And then I got there, I was like, oh, it was like 20 minutes? Okay, well, fuck.
Well, and also like our perspective has shifted quite a bit.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I just finished Persona 3 Reload, and that took me 145 hours.
Right.
So this is going to feel like not like a blink of an eye.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking walk in the park for the most part. I know if I remember right, the final boss in that game is kind of a thing, but like not too bad. The one character that almost invalidates the entire game is Master Lu, I think his name is. He's your McDole's teacher.
Yes, because I was using him a lot.
Oh, that
last
guy!
time I played it.
That guy, yeah, he's nuts. Like the team up attack they have just almost erases the game. It's kind of great in its own way.
Since I'm playing it on hard, that's probably going to be like my main strat.
No, absolutely, it's a valid strategy. Just go in there with that guy and do some shit.
Yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Stone Whitman here again for Rugged Man Deodorant. It's the only fragrance for a rugged, manly, stoic man like myself. Whether I'm hunting for endangered game in the wilderness, chopping wood just for the hell of it, or having a good masculine cry over the latest episode of Outlander, Rugged Man's got me covered. All natural, paraben-free, and smelling oh so vulnerable. Rugged Man Deodorant. Finally, a deodorant for the manliest of men. And so I've put 2 hours and 45 minutes into it. The first 2 hours was Sunday night. And that's because, as I said last week, you know, we're not required to be in office yet. I was already scheduled to be in office right now for training, which was fine, right? Like I was expecting that.
Mhm.
But knowing that now this is just life, it really recontextualized what was going on. So, you know, I got up and I left the house at 6:30 on Monday.
Mhm.
Have to be at work at 8. And I was like, you know, I'm not sure what's the best way to go. I don't want to use a toll road every day. So like I set my GPS to ignore tolls. And I was like, okay, which way are you sending me? And so I was just going the way that it told me, which put me on I-35 way earlier than I thought it was going to. Now, people outside of Texas may not be aware. I tried to find something online that I thought for sure there was some sort of like, you know, impassioned video essay on YouTube about like I-35, but all I could find was like local news stories about it. And apparently it is considered the worst stretch of highway in Texas.
Nice.
And considering that Texas is the largest state, or what, you know, I don't forget if Alaska's bigger. Anyway, one of the largest states in the country.
Yeah.
I think that probably puts it pretty high on the overall list nationwide.
That's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah. It's atrocious. And there was an accident on the road, and I got to the office over half an hour late. And then like there wasn't an Ethernet cord like in my cubicle. So I had to like hunt around for that. So by the time I finally got like logged in and clocked in, it was like I was an hour late.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know if they actually counted. Like I think my boss, well, she actually was like, she saw when I got there. So I think like, you know, she basically told me that I could like, I could like take a half a lunch and then like leave at 5.
Oh, there you go.
But dude, it was horrible. And we're talking a full 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I thought I left with plenty of time, and clearly not.
Nope.
The whole time and all week I've just been like, man, fuck this.
Yeah.
You know, because like the message that we got, you know, the memo that we got, it's almost verbatim for the one that Gavin Newsom did for California state workers being ordered back. And it's the same thing that I've also seen for like other like, you know, private sector jobs. And it's always like, oh, you know, we're better together. And, you know, it really helps us with our productivity and our accountability. And there's always like some spiel about like how important like the workers are to us and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
they're very important.
Yes. And it's like, if the job has been proven that it can be done remotely, do not dare to say that you give a fuck about your employees if you're forcing them back into the office. Do you know how many times I've been late since 2020 working remote, Justin?
Probably 0.
That was not like illness related. Like
maybe,
you know,
maybe 1.
Twice.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say there's probably a couple times where you like randomly slept in or something.
Yeah, there was like 2 times where like I didn't hear my alarm or it didn't go off.
Yeah,
and I was like 10-15 minutes late.
Right.
First day that I'm supposed to be in the office, half an hour late, an hour late by the time I actually get clocked in.
Right.
And it's like, that's just you guys losing money right there. Like, you know, I could have been working, but you know, you lost out on that. You know how often, just regularly in the last like 5 years working remote, that I've been like worried about dying on the road? Not very often. Maybe
a couple times, but you know, probably not work related so much.
No,
you know?
Terrified every day, like you know, and doing, you know, especially since Monday, doing everything in my power to avoid. Well, I mean, I have to take the second like big highway in, but I don't take it home. Like I've been like going as far as like I've been taking like basically back roads almost to get home because I don't want to. I'm afraid to be like in that type of traffic like during rush hour, like peak rush hour. The other big thing is, my free time is gone. It is taking me 2 hours to get home.
Right.
Just straight up. So the first day, okay, this is important actually. This is why why I haven't been playing shit. So Sunday night, I had my normal Sunday night, anxiety like we talked about last week. Yeah. Right. I only slept for probably like 5 hours maybe.
Mm.
And then Monday night, so Monday I had to make a couple stops, but I ended up it took me like over 2 hours to get home. And then I was so frazzled from getting to work that late, like on the first day, right? Like the first day in office, right? Because also like I really feel that like I barely squeaked into this job, right? So it's like I don't want to look bad.
I get it.
At any time. I didn't sleep that night. Already only operating on like 5 hours maximum of sleep.
Yeah.
Did not sleep Monday night. Go into the office. I did take a different route Tuesday, and that's the one I've been taking since. It gets me there about an hour. So I've got about, half an hour to kill. I'm not going to, but I can't, I have to leave when I'm leaving though, because like, you never know. Right. So like even today, like I snoozed a little, instead of hitting the snooze bar, I set a 15-minute timer, and that actually put me like a little bit like behind. And I was like, well, I got to take the full road like on the way in because I wanted to stop to get breakfast. But so, that's been fine. But, I'm working Tuesday, and then like I start like crashing. Like I'm like worried I'm going to fall asleep at my desk. And, I made it to like when I was supposed to clock out for lunch, and I was like, I'm not feeling well. Like, is it okay if I go home? Because like we didn't have any meetings that day, and like the person who's ostensibly supposed to be training me, she was on vacation, so it just seemed like a probably a good day to bounce out. And before I even got hired, my manager was like, "Oh, you get sick time like starting on your first day, and they want you to use your time, blah blah blah." And I was like, I feel like shit. Like there's not a lot to do right now. It seems like a good time to do it. So I went home at noon. And then like crashed hard for like 3 hours.
You'll have that. Yeah.
And then Wednesday, it was like, all right, now let's see. I'm not going to make any stops. Let's see how long this actual thing is. Like, just from office to door, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just straight up, like not making any stops, just 2 hours. And again, I talk about the car, right? I drive 60 miles a day now. Yeah. I used to not drive 60 miles in a month, right? For like the last few years. And I know this probably sounds like I'm whining. It's not, I don't really care about like being in the office. Like I said, I will say that like right now it's only like a couple of us. And I know that like once it fills up, it's probably going to be a different scenario, because I don't like that din of like, just like, people on the phone, people chit-chatting, like this, this and that. Like when I'm working, I'm there to work. Like, I'm just like, because like, the coworker who started like a week before me, he's like super like extroverted and everything. And, he's been like on a lot of like Teams calls and stuff like that. And then he was like, hey man, like, I hope I'm not too loud. I was like, oh no, you're fine. And I didn't say it because I'm terrible at small talk, but I was like, I'm so locked in that I didn't even realize that he was like on the team call. Like, it's just, like when I lock in, it's kind of hard to get my attention.
Oh, I'm very much the same way. I have a very different job than you, but like where I work, we'll put earbuds in or whatever, because I'll be off in my own little fucking island, and if somebody does come to talk to me, they will scare the fuck out of me.
Are you on your own little island, or are you on your own little the island?
No, island, just regular island.
Just making sure.
Yeah, no, it's good to specify, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and honestly, like it's one of the reasons that I've really enjoyed the remote work, because I definitely could tell that people did not like my work vibe, because I was not there to like chit chat or whatnot, or like chime in when someone makes a joke or something like that. It's like, no, I've got my earbuds in and I'm working, and I like that's what I'm here to do. and people think that I'm being like an asshole. It's like, no, it's just that that's not me. Like it's painful for me to like do like that little chit chatty stuff, but it really is like this is a huge amount of time taken out of my day. Cause it's not just the 2 hours, getting home. I used to wake up like 10 minutes before I had to clock in.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do it any other way? Right.
Yeah. So it's like I'm losing out on like 2 hours of sleep. And also like, well, and also I'm having to like shower more often because like
you'll have to do that. Yeah. That's the thing.
Having to like wash my clothes more often because like so one of the small downsides when it was supposed to be remote is that you had to be business casual like even from home because we're on camera for so many meetings in a week.
Sure.
I was like, well, that's fine because like I can just like wear like the same stuff over and over and whatever.
Yeah,
it's like can't do that.
Do that
bring
now.
to the office.
Gotta
like,
do some laundry, Julian. It's gonna have to happen.
But I don't know how people do it. And I was thinking about this actually because it's like when my parents were younger, they lived much closer to where they worked.
Right.
Now I will say that like when we were living in the house that I grew up in, my mom had like a 30 to 45 minute commute every morning.
Yeah.
Because she worked across town. But that was kind of the beginning of that happening in Austin where you kind of couldn't really, well, I mean, it wasn't that we couldn't afford to live where she worked. Like her office was just not kind of near places to live. Yeah. And it just so happened that's where she worked. But the traffic wasn't as bad back then as it is now. Because basically, Mopac and I-35 are the same as they were 30 years ago, but now there's 30 years of like more people on the road.
I can imagine.
But, but I'm thinking about like, the boomer generation, which is, I mean, that's my parents, sorry, the boomer generation. But like, there was a time when, you worked your 9 to 5 or whatever, and then you went home, but also your home was probably like 10, 15 minutes away from where you worked. It wasn't a problem.
If even that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not that. And, and I think that the thing that I keep coming back to is that like, there were so many things that happened during the pandemic where it felt like we're on the cusp of like revamping society. Like we're learning like a lot of ways to like change things for the better. And like, one of them is like, yeah, a lot of these jobs, like it's pointless to actually have to like come into an office to do it.
Yeah.
And why bother? And maybe we turn a lot of this office space into affordable housing for people so that they can actually afford to live in the cities where they work. But fuck them.
No, but what if we just did, but it's been this way for so long, Julian. What if we just refuse to change anything?
Yeah. And what it really boils down to is that there's a certain level of like, people in leadership that are either CEOs or upper and middle management who don't know what to do if they don't have anybody to spy on, basically. Right. Because you can tell if people are working or not, like remotely. Like you can tell when the work is getting done. Yeah. But they also want to like, oh, but I want people to see when I'm staying late in the office. And it's like I can always tell when like when my supervisors were like working late. Like you would see it in the system, right? You would come in the next day and it's like, oh yeah, their notes are on there at like 7:59 like last night, or my notes are on there for because I was working a shit ton of overtime during the pandemic. Yeah, but you would see that I was working late, and it's like people knew, like so don't even say that. Like it's just bullshit posturing. Yeah, it really pisses me off. But I don't know how people do it. I don't know how. Like this is just me. Right. So I don't know how, like, you do this, you commute for fucking 2 hours, then take care of a kid and then make dinner and then have any semblance of a life after that. Right.
That's because pretty much your life at that point. That's what happens there. Yeah.
Like this week has been get home. So this was the thing that was like super like eye opening and really like awful. I have like a ritual. Right. I get off of work. And I turn on YouTube and I watch the Philip DeFranco show. It's like about a 30-minute news show. Okay. Right. And then I'll watch like a couple other like YouTube things. And then I will like usually eat and then like watch something while I'm eating. Yeah. And then I'll start playing games. Right. All right. When I'm done playing games, I will then go back to YouTube and watch A Closer Look with Seth Meyers. That's kind of how, and then I'll watch Colbert's monologue. Those are like the last couple things that I do before bed. Yeah. I get home. I turn on the Philip DeFranco show, I watch the Philip DeFranco show, and I eat. And by the time I'm done with that, a closer look is posted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that just like threw me for a loop because
Yeah.
like for me, that is like 10:30. That you know, the time for that. It's like I should not be able to watch this right now.
Right.
Even though that's what it always uploads. But it's like I don't see it then because I'm not on YouTube at that time of
Right.
night. Yeah. And so as a result, like, you know, I played 45 minutes of Suikoden, and then I played like some runs of Balatro while I was watching you stream
There you go.
WWE 2K25.
There you go. Yeah. Sounds like a lot, Julian.
It's been rough.
It's a big adjustment that you have to make, unfortunately. It's stupid, but like, yeah, eventually you'll get to where you probably will figure it out.
I'm hoping so. Like, I know part of this is probably just like I need to get used to. Like, it's almost like building stamina.
Yeah.
But it's not going to change the fact that like it takes me 2 hours to get home unless I take the toll road. But I can't afford to do that every day. And you know, I will say that like, you know, people have suggested like, oh, take public transportation because at least then you can like read or play your Steam Deck or whatever. It's like,
yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that it's still taking me the same amount of time, but also I have to like get up even earlier to make that. And then if there's any deviation in anything whatsoever, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And I don't have a way to course correct. Like,
right.
You know, if I see that there's an accident in my car, I can at least try to take a detour.
Yeah.
And also like after work, I can decide to go do something else. I will say, you know, I am trying to look at the bright side of certain things. And it's like, well, the advantage of being like smack dab in the middle of Austin is that it gives me access to places that I stopped visiting,
there you
know,
go.
like 6 years ago. Right. So like I stopped at Austin Books after work one day to look for like X-Men Omnibuy. And then like today after work, I swung by the mall and picked up shitty Thai food at the food court.
Yeah. You were talking about that. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, there's stuff like that. It's like, if I'm going to go see a movie, I can now like go to my favorite movie theater because it's like, you know, it's in South Austin. So whatever. And also like my doctor, like when I go to see my doctor now, it's not going to be like, I got to drive all the way across town to make it. It's like, well, no, I just leave the office and it's like straight up the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there are advantages, but the disadvantages far outweigh
I know.
them.
The only thing I have to compare it to is when I was 18 and I moved to where I live now, which was, and it's quaint compared to what you're doing, but like I moved, I don't know, like 20 miles, it's 20 miles away from where I lived.
Mm-hmm.
And that trip, it's only like really like a 20-minute, half an hour trip.
Yeah.
You know, back and forth. And now I take that to work every day. Yeah. And before that, it felt like a fucking eternity to get here. Every single time you had to make that trip. And eventually I got to the point where I'm just like, yeah, no, you don't even think about it after a while. But I was livid when it first happened to me.
I don't know if this is ever going to feel like not an eternity.
It seems like a journey.
Yeah. But I'm sure I'll get used to it at some point. But like, you know, my brain is fried and I get home and I feel gross and I feel tired. And honestly, I don't plan on this podcast tonight being very long because I'm already on fumes.
It happens.
But that's where we're at.
The State Select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Before we move on to your stuff, Justin, I think it's a good time to thank our lovely patrons.
Sure, why not?
We appreciate all of our lovely patrons, but every week we like to thank our executive producer tier. And this week, we have Addy XD.
We have Big Baker.
We have Bill Tucker of A Gamer Looks at 40, an upgrade from associate producer tier. And I will say that he did the little survey and he specifically cited Cinnamorons as being the reason that he upgraded.
Oh,
'Cause
boy.
he's really excited for that new show, which it was nice to hear because like nobody said shit like on Discord. They were no one was like, "Yay, new podcast." It was just like nothing. I was like, okay.
Our Discord's pretty casual for the most part.
No, I know.
They're casually they're not gonna get like they're just not gonna get amped about things, Julian. They're busy talking about amongst themselves, about whatever.
They're among us.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, we have Bookie.
Just cut off at the something. We have Casey Curran.
We have Dennis Robertson.
We have Eric Peacock of the Soundtracker podcast.
We have Xrian.
We have Gabe Johnson of Retrofits on YouTube.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
We have Philip PK Becker. I'm getting all the ones that have extra things to say.
You do. I know. I noticed that you set it up that way on accident.
I didn't. It's just
on accident. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. We have Raymond Crum.
We have 60 Does Stuff, who said on Discord, you can just call me 60, but no, it says 60 Does Stuff. They do stuff, Justin.
We read the name as written.
Yeah.
We have Stephen Lobo, whose name I'm constantly worried I'm mispronouncing.
Oh, you think it's Stefan?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it could be.
The PH is it could go either way. You never know.
That's true.
So if they're out there and they hear this name and they're like, "Man, this fucking guy," just know that I'm super concerned about it, and I will correct it if you ever correct me, because I always seem to get their name and I'm always like, oh.
I go off of Stephen Strange.
I mean, I'm firm on Steven right now, but I will gladly change.
Yeah. It is one of those things though, like I get on the, English names and I know this is not like a original thought by any means, but like I don't understand how you get Bill from William. I don't understand how you get Dick from Richard.
I think it just was a thing that happened a long time ago, and we'll never know, Julian.
Yeah. If only we had like access to information that was not AI powered and therefore corrupted to give us the answers.
Yeah.
Because now it's like you do a search and it's like, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if this is what the thing is. We have Xavier Krager.
And that's it. That's all we have.
Yes. Thank
But
you
good
to
enough.
all of our lovely executive producers. We appreciate you.
Indeed.
Well, Justin, I know you have been hyper-focusing this week.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been playing a lot more, and pretty much all I played is WWE 2K25. Let's see.
I watched you play some WWE 2K25.
Yeah, I streamed it a couple times. The archives are on YouTube. People can go look at them.
I have to say,
Yeah.
it is pretty fascinating to see people that are fans of your creator wrestler work,
Yeah,
like on your Twitch chat,
I believe it.
and talking about like, oh yeah, like I've
This
had
character.
like this character like in my
Yeah.
game doing this or that.
Yeah. I get those now. It's funny because those are usually like, that's my Xbox messages usually.
Right.
It's usually full of that stuff, and me doing basically on stream what I'm doing in the Xbox messages. I'm just like, thanks, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you like this thing. Or them asking me if I'm going to make a specific person, and me going, hopefully I'll get around to that this year, but I don't know, because I never want to say I'm definitely going to do it, because that's when I end up not doing it.
Yeah. And I should clarify for listeners. People are asking for you to recreate specific people that you have made whole cloth.
Yes.
Like they're not asking you to make like existing
No,
like,
I'm not.
pop
I'm not
culture
being.
people.
I'm not being asked to make like Edge or like what's the one I just saw today that made me laugh, Billie Eilish or anything
Right.
like that. I'm just making people that
or
I made
Beaker
up in my
from-
head
from the Muppets.
Yeah,
Like,
I just make people that I made up in my head that I thought would it's like I explained on the stream. That game is now like action figures when I was like 11 or 12 or whatever, and I had the wrestling ring, and I was just renaming Spider-Man action figures into their own things. I was like, you're this guy is this now, this is his name, this is his gimmick, and this is what he comes out and does. And now I get to like you actually, you know, make them, and that's the entertainment value. It's a upgraded version of what I've been doing since I was like 11.
Yeah,
probably younger than that, really. But yeah, I've been playing a lot more of it. I like it a pretty good amount, actually. I'm fairly high on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the streams, you start out by saying, it's a really good game, even though I deeply dislike a lot of parts of it.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. I want to clarify that more. How I feel now compared to how I felt then.
Yeah.
Over the course of the week, so this was the early, you know, access week. Over the course of the week, they've like constantly updated it. Like every 2 days there would be an update. So like my last stream was Wednesday. As soon as I got off of that stream and it was like, okay, well, now I'm back by myself. I'm gonna play it. I went to do something online. And it was like, nope, the network's down. And I was like, oh, there's an update. So I quit there. And then, so I quit and I went and got the update, got on the thing. And then it was like, holy shit, they fixed a bunch of shit I've been bitching about. Like, it was uncanny. So I've been, things that are specific to me that they fixed. That you can now put materials on goddamn fucking images and shit. I was like, okay, we're fucking back. This is great. They fixed like embossing. They fixed a bunch of shit that I've been complaining about. There is one thing that I don't think is ever coming back, and I looked into it today. When you post a thing on community creations, it used to be like the most recent tab was available, so you could see like something that got posted right then. And I used to go and check it all the time because just to make sure my thing uploaded. That's gone now. So like, if you're not in the most downloaded or most upvoted category, you are buried.
Right.
Like however many hundreds of pages back, which sucks. But I looked into why they did that, and it was apparently because people kept fucking posting porn on there, of course. That would come up on the recent images, and I'm just like, they need a fucking system to catch this shit before it fucking hits. It shouldn't be that.
But you know, that gets really difficult with a wrestling game because like your filter would be like skin, like, you know, how much skin is showing, and it's like, but wrestlers are like half naked.
Here's the thing, Julian. I don't think that's where we get dicey at. I don't think it's the created wrestlers, right? I actually think it's the images, because you can post images onto that thing.
No, I know, but like, well, but I guess how many people are going to be posting like images of the actual wrestlers? No, you're right.
That's what I mean. Like, and even still, like, there's got to be something where we can detect a goddamn like. Yeah, then again, you're right. It's tough. It's a tough fucking. Yeah. It's a give and take. I don't know.
There's got to be a better way.
I think the better way is to just fucking say fuck it and let it go. But or just take it down as it comes up and ban those people, because that's
slap an M rating on it.
Yeah, that's what they try to avoid.
Dude, I said that in joking, but like, I'd be down for an M-rated wrestling game that was not the shitty ECW ones from back in the day.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It'd be great. I too am for that. There's a lot of it'd be cool. You could do it anyway. No, I really kind of like it. I'm having a good time with it. It definitely has a lot of the same flaws as the other ones do, but like there's something about it that just seems to play a little bit better every year. Like ever since 20 was a fucking train wreck. You and I played 20 is the thing.
Yeah, that's documented. The last one that I played because I kind of had to know that.
We had to know, and it was bad. It was a terrible game. Ever since that game, though, like, it's slowly gotten better. I have to give them credit. Ukes was the fucking problem. I'm willing to admit that now.
See, I'm what again? Well, because they're the ones that made AEW Fight Forever, right?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe they were the problem. I was gonna say. But was it Ukes that was the problem, or was it them being saddled with decades-old technology? And,
I think it's both.
Like,
I don't think it's fully Ukes, and they had to, and to be in their defense, especially in their defense, like the AEW game, they had to make like pretty much from scratch. Like that,
Right.
they had to make that brand new. It's not fully. I mean, that game's not terrible. Like, it's not awful. It's not unplayable. It's not great, but it's not.
I got it.
The
I got
worst.
it for free on PS Plus, and I downloaded it and fired it up and played a match, and I was like, I don't like this. Like, it was like
No.
an instant like
No, it
feeling
doesn't
of like this
feel
doesn't
good
feel
to
right.
play. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good to play. I don't. And again, almost we go back all the way back to my last week's thing of
Mhm.
the Aki engine and those N64 wrestling games were so good that they ruined wrestling games for years because that's what everybody fucking shoots for.
Yeah.
And that's what that game shot for. They were open about this is what we want to do. We want the Aki engine type stuff. And yeah, it doesn't play very well.
Yeah.
Turns out those games worked well, when they worked. And we should probably not revisit that anymore. But anyway,
Man, but then I think about Def Jam Vendetta, and that was also really
that
fucking
was
good.
because that was the actual guy that made him. And
No, yeah, I know,
Not
yeah.
that he didn't help with the recent stuff too. I think they got him in on some of that stuff, but I don't think he was like in. They like probably had him like consulting or something. I'm not actually sure what role
Okay.
that guy played.
But like, is this a situation where it was actually like one guy that was like,
No, it's a
Okay,
it's a whole
alright.
team of people, but like it is often credited to like one guy that as being like the head guy of that engine for the most
okay,
part.
I just want to make sure it wasn't like some sort of thing that I wasn't aware of, where it was like this John Carmack-esque guy made this really awesome
it's
wrestling
nothing
engine.
John Carmacky. I'm
Okay.
gonna look him up if I can. But like, no, I'm having a really good time with it. Honestly, like,
it's cool.
and like, for all its flaws, like there are matches where I'm just playing it and I'm just like, I actually had fun with that. That was a really good match because I play the game weird. If anybody watches me stream and watches a match, I will actively just let the computer start beating me up, like which I bet is confusing to watch. Like I'm just like no. See that star rating up there? We don't go for a pin until it's 5. All right, that's how I work. Like we're going for the best. We gotta. This is the ebb and flow of the match here.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes
You want to be on the page 1 of the dirt sheets
Yeah.
for like a really excellent match.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then I'll end up losing, and I'm like, well, they earned it. I mean, that's how. I mean, what am I gonna say? They earned it. There's been a couple times where I'm like, all right, and now we'll close the match. And I'm like, oh no, we won't. We will actually just lose. Cool. That was great. Excellent. Like,
I mean, it's not fun in a game like that if you're winning like every single match, right?
no,
Like,
it's really
it's not fun watching wrestling and seeing someone win every match.
No. The only time you want to win every match is when you're in the single player modes, and that's because you're just like, I just want to progress here. This is annoying not to. I haven't gotten to any point where I've needed to do it yet. The multi-man matches in the last game and every game before that used to like upset me. They were always like super frustrating because like you could never get people to stay down long enough for you to make a fucking pin. But the one that I did play, I think it was in the My Rise mode that I played it. I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad actually. That was fine. But it was just a 3-way, so those aren't that bad. But it's usually when you start getting into 4, 5, and 6 where it becomes a fucking mess. But sometimes that mess is what makes it fun too. Like it's a whole thing.
Listeners, this is how you know I'm tired. I just let the 3-way just like sit. Like I don't have it in me.
Yeah, 3-way dance. They used to chant that at ECW. You don't remember?
I actually didn't watch any ECW.
I believe it. I'm not trying to call you out, but like you know what's funny is
I didn't even know where to watch it.
I had the same problem when I was a kid, and that's because I don't think there really was any place to watch it for a long time.
Wasn't it like you had to either be there or people were like trading tapes, right?
Yes, it was a tape trading thing. You had to be there at the arena, or you had to live in, I believe, a specific area where it would show up on local cable, like on your local cable, like real late at night. It would come on sometimes. Apparently, I'm not 100% sure on that because I didn't live in those areas.
Yeah.
But eventually it came on TNN. And I would catch the pay-per-views because we had one of those cable boxes when I was a kid that would get all the free pay-per-view. So I would catch some of those.
Wait, but was that the old ECW, or was that after it got bought by WWE?
No, that was old ECW. This
Okay.
was before. It was on TNN. And now it became Spike TV before TNN, or after TNN. It was the Nashville network, and then it became Spike TV because I somebody bought it or something like that.
And so that would have been like way before, because TNN got WWE for a while. Like,
yes,
after
they did.
USA.
They did, and that's when they became Spike TV. Around that same time, they got ECW on there to test for like if buying a wrestling show was going to be worth it. And that run of ECW is fascinating because it's at certain points they realize what, like, ECW realizes what happened to them, and they start to like actively go after TNN on their show. Like they just start to like, and they brought in what's Don Callis is his name now. He went as Cyrus in WWE. He's been around for like ever. Real great slimy heel dude. But he would come on and do commentary as part of the TNN network. And it was phenomenal because it was so good. Like I loved that run. That was like my first exposure to like Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome having like fucking crazy ass matches where they were like power bombing each other outside of the ring through tables and all this shit. And like one of my favorites. I was just thinking about this stuff earlier this week actually. My favorites was like Spike Dudley. Because his job was just to go get the shit kicked out of him.
It took me a long time to realize that was the whole point, because when he debuted in WWE, like, you know, because the Dudley Boys had been, you know, had been around for a while in WWE, and they brought Spike in.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so the whole idea is that he's really small and scrappy, but he's a really good wrestler, right? Right?
No, he just gets his ass kicked.
Right? And no, he just gets his ass beat.
No, he can take a bump and you can throw him around. That's his job.
And he makes it look like he just died.
Yes.
And it's like, you leave that little boy alone.
Yeah, you feel for, you start to like, actually, you're like, oh no, leave him alone. He's doing his best. Just let him try. But he had a run during that time where he was Spike the Giant Killer. And he would come out in the middle of people's matches and fucking hit him with his finishing move. And like, you know, like it would be like these massive dudes that he would just come out like and do this shit. And it was great. It was awesome. There was a whole bunch of shit going on at that time. I watched that in one of my old houses, just sitting around my bedroom. It would come on, and I don't even remember what time slot it was in. It was in a really bad time slot. It was like 6 or 7 on like a Saturday. It would come on, and you had to know it was coming on because there was no advertising for it. It was crazy, but I loved it what I could watch, and then I would watch the pay-per-views and stuff like that. Like, it was great. Anyway, that's ECW talk for now. What was I talking about before about the game? I don't
remember how we got on the ECW
I don't remember either. I'm like, how did we get here?
Well, so I will say, you need to tell the listeners what you did, because they'll appreciate it.
Oh, and it's part of a slow project that I'm gonna try to do, because now that I have like, and this is another reason why I'm kind of having fun. It's certain things that have been asked for years and have always been a hard no are suddenly in this game, like the intergender stuff. So now I can just make whoever, and they can and interact with each other, and that's really great. Yeah. Like I'm like, this adds so much to it for me. But I'm working on making our friends over at Sweet Tea Games.
Yes.
I at first I made it like a created character really fast so that we could do my rise on stream, and I was like, all right, it'll be the Virginian. That's an old wrestler I had. And then I was sitting there looking at him one day, and I was like, I got to do something with this guy. I was like, oh man, what if that's Craig? That should just be Craig. That'd be good. Fucking. And so I made Craig. He's got his Cobra and Blue Knight shirt on. It's great. I'm gonna make Jacob. because he deserves, to be at least Craig's manager.
For sure.
Stuff like that. But I have some ideas flowing for what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go with a lot of this stuff, or at least
you should put a Brahmo in too.
That would be good. That would be good. Yeah, that would be fun. See?
Yeah.
See why I'm having so much fun. I'm just like, oh man, like, and even and plus like this stuff, and on top of like when I would used to hit roadblocks with like the stuff that I normally make, which is like I am good and specific at making women that are my own creation in these games, and they're hard to do. Like I've been making guys now, and I'm like, wow, this is really easy. like it's actually way easy, because doing the women stuff, you have to like manage the top part, manage the bottom part. There's a whole bunch of distortion on shit, and you have to fucking work with all that and do all this stuff. I show off on streams like how I do a lot of that shit, and I know I look like a crazy person. Nobody's doing what I'm doing.
No. So that actually leads me to a question that I have.
Yeah.
People are going to think I'm doing a bit. No, there's actually a very serious question that I have for you. Have you ever thought about going into fashion design? Like, is that a thing that appeals to you? Because I was pretty darn floored watching you, the way that you were approaching the wardrobe for the character you were working on, and like the way that you were like actually like the cut on this isn't good, like it doesn't match the top,
it doesn't match,
and like the way that you're like, literally like cutting material to like lay over like a framework and stuff. I was like, this is fucking like fashion design.
So I don't know if I could do full blown, like I can't design a dress, Julian, for example. I don't think I could do that.
Well, but but what if you did ring attire for people?
That's what I was just gonna say. That I would be into that. I could do that, but at the same time, I don't think I can sew. So there's that. I think when it would actually come to like the crafts portion of the program, I would fail miserably at it. But
yeah, I guess I don't know how many like fashion designers are actually like crafting the actual garment, right? Like, but I would imagine with ring attire, it's probably like one and the same.
I believe so. And also, there's a lot of special rules that I remember looking into. I not looking into it because I at some point during all the wrestling media that I consumed, I remember hearing somebody talk about this exact thing. And there's like a certain like art form that goes into doing that stuff. Not even so much the design, right? Like the design is its own thing. Like I can like look at like probably somebody's ring attire and name, kind of pinpoint on the map where they're from. There's only so many spots in wrestling a lot of the time, but like especially Japanese and American styles, very, very different, but that started to bleed over now. That's all to say that like there's an art to it, because you have to have certain materials and they have to be sewn a certain way, because they're not only wearing those clothes, they have to hold up to a lot of stuff. Yes. Yeah. So they have to be extra durable, extra tough, and all this other shit. Like you can't afford like a wardrobe malfunction and something like that, right? So it's a whole different ballpark over there. I highly respect it. I love designing that stuff, but I don't know if I could actually do that part of it. That part would take like a lot of training and shit like that. But if somebody out there wants to do it for me, I'm down. Like that, well, that'd be great. All this to say, when I run into roadblocks where I'm just like, I just don't quite know what to do with this character, but I know I'm gonna make him eventually. Now what? So what do I do in the meantime? Well, a lot of times I would just go and play the game, but now I'm like, let me go work on old Craig for a little while, or like, let me go work on this other guy and just let's see where that leads us and do this other stuff. And so I have all this, like these two different worlds kind of starting to combine, and I've been having a great time. Like it's just been really fun. That's really cool. One little stupid thing of like, oh yeah, guys can face girls. It's pro wrestling. Who gives a shit? I'm like, it means everything to me. Yeah. Now I can have Doug St. Louis and his shitty wife start to run rampant all over everybody. I can't wait to do it. It's going to be great.
Because I imagine that they stopped it around the beginning of the PG era. Does that sound about right?
Oh,
When they got rid of intergender?
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of when that went away. It's always been around on the indies like that. It never went away.
Well,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah. But I mean, because I stopped watching like around the time of the PG
Oh,
era,
yeah.
and because like I mean, China was the Intercontinental Champion, right? Like,
Yes.
She was in the Royal Rumble with like all the guys, and
Honestly, I think
and you
it
had
was,
like Trish Stratus in like a tag team with guys and stuff like that.
They started to dabble with it in like later times with like they had the mixed match challenge and shit like that. But like the whole whenever they have a mixed tag team in WWE, I don't know how it is right now. I've been watching it a long time. They like guys couldn't hit the girls. That was the thing. They're not allowed to do that. And I think vice versa. You're not allowed to do that. That they when a tag is made, the other person has to tag too, which I feel like is an awkward rule, because if we're looking at it from a reality standpoint, I'm like, all right, let's say I just knock the other dude out and then I tag out for just to be shitty, and then we just let him lay there for a while,
right?
like like I'm like obviously you're not going to do that. You're not going to set the match up that way. But like, what if we did? Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. There's wrestling logic. There's a lot to unpack with certain things like that. But yeah, no, I'm liking the game. It's fun. I like there's definitely the island shit, and I showed on a stream where I was like, check this out. When you buy hairs on the island, they're super fucking bugged. Like they just like make your fucking I don't know what is with that. I don't know how that works.
Well, dude. And even because like I know you said that on stream you said that like they fixed it quite a bit, and because I told you I like demanded that you go to the island,
yes,
and you showed it off, and it's like even like okay, so like the load time to get into the island was not bad.
No,
when you did it because they had updated it. Okay, the fact that you load into every one of those shops and then load back out to the island again in the year of our Lord 2018 does not make a goddamn bit of sense. It is so bizarre.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It really is. But and I'm not exaggerating when I was talking last time. When I got on their first day, it was 20 times worse. Like it was so bad. Like you like I seriously like. It was a long wait to get on there, and I was to the point where like a couple times I thought it was broken, or I went up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up and go do something for a second, and I'll come back, and then I'd come back and it'd still be loading. I'm like, okay, pretty sure it's broken. Grab the controller, and then it would start, and I'd be like, okay, this is just a long fucking load time. Like this is kind of wild. As soon as I got on stream, I was like, well, we're just gonna watch some load screens. What am I gonna talk about while we're doing this? And then I was like, okay, actually, surprisingly not as bad. So it seems like I think there might have been like an update. That was another, like I said, updates throughout the week. I'm actually like legit impressed. They usually do not do that shit. They usually will put that shit out and you will wait till the next DLC before you ever get an update on anything. So it'll just be broken for like, a month or two straight sometimes. So
and also to be fair, like it didn't sound like the game was on fire.
No.
Right? Like there was issues for sure, but not oh shit, this game is like just a disaster type thing.
I legit think it's pretty good. Now it's definitely not still without its quirks. Like one of the things that they fixed in that update that I've been talking about that made Justin happy was the they fixed a bunch of like, and I don't know how they're making this stuff, but there were typos on like actual wrestlers' attire, like just typos. Like AJ Styles had phenomenal onk, like it wasn't one, it was ONC. It was like, okay, that's not right. That's that's just wrong. I don't know how you screw that up exactly, but they did.
See, I was gonna say that's a sign of them like using AI shit, but I could see making that typo.
Yes, yeah, I know.
So that actually might be legit.
No, yeah. No, it they feel legit. A lot of them, like I think one of them like isn't reversed properly on the certain thing. It's a lot of like little tiny things that people have found. Most of this shit, I'm like, I don't even look at these guys, and some of these guys I don't even know who they are. So
sure,
I don't care. But
someone would.
Yeah, but somebody does, Julian, and they make their voices known. I remember like first day looking at like the Reddit or whatever for all this stuff, and people were like, it's just as bad as 2K20. I was like, you need to go back and play 2K20. That was a broken video game. This is not. It's got its flaws, and that island shit can stay over there on that fucking island. I'm sorry, the island.
Man, the recency bias is such a thing
Oh,
for me
yeah.
lately. Like I saw someone on Blue Sky post like their top 10 games of all time, and 2 of them were Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, and Unicorn Overlord. And I'm like, of all time?
Of all time. Yeah.
Really?
Well, Julian, they're only like 7. So, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You know, those were 2 probably pretty good games. Yeah, recency bias is a thing. That's why I don't start saying all time until I've waited at least 4 or 5 years.
I really appreciate that about you. Like
Yeah.
we're very much on that same wavelength. Even with like our game of the year list, where it's like, you know, no, I need to let that percolate a bit before.
There are times where I've finished a game and been like, that was really good. I really liked that, but I don't like. Close to the Distance was one this year where I was just like, I really liked that game, but I don't. Let me think about it for a little while longer. I mean, the best example, Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium, when I played it. Like when it came out, I was like, that was really good. Like, holy shit. And then like, as the year went on and I thought more about it, like I was like, cause I remember like, as soon as I played Sayonara Wild Hearts that year, I was like, oh, this I think is my game of the year. I really like this game. And then I played that one. I was like, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. Like, I was just like, and it's, now that one has been out for long enough to where it's starting to really, really creep up my all-time list.
Yeah, well, I remember because I think when we got around to talking about like our favorite games of that generation, I think it was your
100%. Yeah.
But I think in the actual podcast, by that point, you felt comfortable enough to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I still feel that way. Yeah. And it's on my all-time list. It's given Final Fantasy VII a run for its money because I think about it a lot still.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I've felt that way. I probably because like, you know, a new trailer came out this week, but like, you know, the more I think about Death Stranding, you know, it's like, because it was my game of the year, grudging, like, you know, with caveats, because I was like, I don't know if I can recommend this to people. And then it was my game of the generation, even though I was like, but I don't know if I can recommend this to people. And literally just a couple days ago, Rob Otone texted me and he was like, I kind of want Death Stranding 2. Like, I own the first one. Should I bother playing it? And I was like, man, that's really hard for me to answer.
It's really tough to say.
It's like one of my favorite games, but I have a feeling you're going to hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Rob might really dig that. It's hard to say. It's hard
I did
to
tell
say.
him it's like it really depends on how much you like sink into it and like vibe with the idea of I am here to deliver these packages.
You got to deliver these packages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting. It's always an interesting one. Good old Death Stranding for what it's worth.
Did you see the headband?
No.
Oh, dude. So I know you don't care about Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
It's a 10-minute trailer that announces like the release date and everything because he was at South by
God bless
last weekend.
Okay.
And there's a character that is like a focal point of the whole 10-minute trailer. He's just like kind of this guy, like, you know, I forget what he was talking about. Cause like when I watched the trailer, I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the audio. Cause I was like, I don't really want to, it's one of those things where it's like, I want to see the visuals, but I don't necessarily want to hear what's going on because like, you know, spoiler, but also it's Kojima out of context babble.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Uh-huh.
But this character at one point, like towards the end of the trailer, right? Like, I think this is even after, you know, because Kojima always does the, like, you know, the credits, right? Death Stranding 2, Kojima Productions, and then he has like the cast and blah, blah, blah. And then there's more trailer. And it cuts to this guy who had been in just like a regular well-lit room in the previous scenes. Okay. But now it's like at night in the dark and there's like fire off in the distance that's illuminating him. And he's got this like scarf. I should describe the guy. He's got a kind of like a thin, kind of slightly gaunt face, really intense eyes, like, you know, short brown hair.
Sure.
And he takes the scarf and he wraps it around his head and he stares straight in the camera. And it's like a goddamn 1-to-1 Solid Snake look, and then it flashes with like a skull mask paint over his face, and then it zooms out, and he's carrying a rifle because he's kind of taking the place of Mads Mikkelsen's character.
Okay,
you know, as far as like where he's set in the thing, but it's like that's a fucking sneaking suit.
That's fun. That's cool. You know what? Why not?
Yeah,
why not? That's good.
And a lot of people were like, so it's a classic case of you say that you're over your last girlfriend, but you're really not.
No, he's not going to be. Yeah,
yeah. It's honestly kind of awesome to see because like after every Metal Gear Solid, he would always say in interviews, "That's my last one." Like
I remember that. Yeah,
after every single one.
Yeah, every one of them. No, I don't want to work on it anymore. I don't want to make another one. And then somehow they'd bring him back, or he was like, no.
No, they don't.
I am pretty sure he.
Every time it was him. He's like, no,
absolutely.
I've got more. I've got more.
Yeah.
And you know, and he's already working on like a stealth action game for Sony.
He's working on something for Microsoft that we still haven't. Well, we've seen, but
OD,
OD, but we don't really know what the hell it is actually.
Yeah, and then Fizzant is the stealth game.
Okay,
but he already said that they're not starting that one until Death Stranding 2 is out.
That's probably for the best. Yeah.
So it seems like they're a 2-game studio now, which is cool.
That's cool. That's great.
Like I've said in the past, like that dude's probably only got like a handful of games left in him. So if he's going to double up,
then again, it's hard to say. He might have a shitload left in him.
You never know.
You never know. I don't know.
The creative process may fuel him for like decades to come.
Yeah. He's one of those types of dudes. I love Kojima.
Me too.
Even when I don't like the game that he makes sometimes, but like I love him. But anyway, all that to say, WWE, I like it a lot. If you're a wrestling game fan, you probably already have it.
Right, yeah.
If you're not, I don't know.
I know I said this last year, but I think I'm going to give it one more year to get the Vince stank like completely washed out. So I will say, like, I
mean, John Cena's heel, Julian. Vince is gone.
Well, yeah. And so what I was going to say is that, like, when I watched the Royal Rumble with friend of the show, John Gholson, like I could tell the difference, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it was noticeable, like just with the energy of the show, the energy of the announce team, just everything about it felt like way more positive. And the fact that like fucking Jay Uso was the winner of the Rumble, it's like, because it came down to like, it was like Logan Paul, him, and I forget who the other guy was, and I was like, well, it's not going to be Jay. He ain't white. Right. And it's like, but no, that was the Vince McMahon era. And it was like, okay, no, all right, this is cool. So yeah, I think maybe one more year I'm going to give it a go, because everything that I've seen with these last few games has looked very up my alley, and I want to take a look.
Like I said, every year it feels like they get a little bit better. Like people pine for 2K19. 2K19 has put on like a huge, like for these games, for the we'll say 2K games. People like, it was the one before 20, before everything went to hell. 19 was like stable and it was pretty good. People pine for it. But like I'm telling you, like my memory of 2K19 was like, yeah, it's fine, but like these ones they're slowly getting better, and they're like getting their momentum going and like what they want to do with it.
I thought that it was like 14 or 15 that was kind of like,
no, 14 was terrible. People hate 14 because 14 was the year when they were switching consoles, and it was really, really limited, especially on next gen.
Okay,
like everything, like it was 14.
Maybe
was
it was 13 then, the last 360
was
one?
Yes, 13 was highly regarded. Well, yeah, I think it was either 13 or 12. I can't remember. One of those.
Whichever
two
one
was really good.
Had to the create a story mode still.
Yes,
I know that was a big
story
deal.
Was and yeah, that's one thing I would love for them to bring back. But yeah, with them coming out every year, it'd be tough to call. But yeah, I would love to see that come back. That was a cool mode. I never really got to mess around with it, but it was a really neat idea.
Yeah.
Now you have universe mode, which has its own caveats, which I played on stream, and Julian asked if it just puts you against the same person every time, and I was like, listen, yeah, it kind of does sometimes. But then I read some post on Reddit where somebody was like, no, like I'm playing the same way I was, which is superstar mode, because that mode is built, Julian, to where you're not really, the superstar mode's kind of there if you want it. Like you just follow one person and go through, the calendar, but mostly you're supposed to, like, you're making your own shows, you're booking all the matches, you're putting champions in, booking the feuds, doing all this shit, changing the calendar around, making your own original shit, taking all the WWE stuff off, putting all your own stuff in there. It's very, like, complex if you go to the other side of it.
Right.
I was just on the simple end where I was just like, let's just go where the winds take us and see what happens. But yeah, that is the problem, is a lot of the time you're not even, like, playing those matches. You're just simulating them because you want to, see what happens, I guess. So that's kind of the thing. But then I, like I said, I read a thread where some guy was like, no, I've been playing the superstar mode and, like, all this crazy shit happened. And I was like, wow, none of that happened to me, but all right. I got in a feud with Craig. That was fun. And then I tried to be friends with him. So
did Craig say, well?
He did say, well,
yeah.
But, we shook hands, before the match.
That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, the game's all right, I have to say.
Yeah, very good. Well, listeners, I'm about to talk spoilers and final thoughts about Persona 3 Reload. Probably not a ton of spoilers because Justin hasn't played it, and it's also not super necessary.
I kind of know a little bit, so it's fine.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's not like Persona 4 or 5 as far as, like, kind of a holy shit, reveal type of thing, really. But mainly, I just wanted to say that. If y'all are fucking tired of hearing me talk about Persona 3, then this is where the show ends, because this is the last thing we're going to do. But otherwise, like, feel free to stick around. But if this is the end of the show for you, I understand. And we'll see you next time, hopefully with more energy. I apologize, but oh man, I'm ready to land the plane on this one.
It happens. It's
early.
I've been there plenty of weeks. I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah,
it's funny because I ended up letting it spill that I do a podcast to my coworker.
Oh boy,
and he was like, "Oh, I always wanted to do a podcast, but, like, I never got around to it." I was like, "Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like, if you're doing the editing and this and that." And I was like, my co-host just has to show up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, I've done the editing and all that stuff, and I got burned out. Like, I hard burned out. I was just like, I gotta stop doing this. Like, I can do this. I can show up and talk on a microphone, but all the other stuff, I was like, I gotta take a break for a while at least.
Yeah. If we weren't already doing 2 extra podcasts a month, I would almost say, do your show and I'll edit it for you.
Yeah, no, I get it, but you too. Yeah.
So I finished Persona 3 Reload. And it's funny because I thought that I was on track to get, like, all of the achievements. Again, that wasn't, like, the idea. It's just that the guide was an all achievement guide, but I didn't realize that, like, so Elizabeth, the one that works with Igor.
Yes.
She has, like, a bunch of, like, tasks for you throughout the year. There's 101 of them.
Sure.
I did all 100 of them, including the last one is Beat the Reaper.
Sure.
But task 101 is Fight Elizabeth. And that is, like, one of those super boss situations where it's like, you got to have, like, the exact right setup.
Yeah.
Like, I like, after she mopped the floor with me, like, 3 times in a row, I was like, okay, let me go look at like a YouTube video and see what's what. And, like, this guy's like, well, I'm using this weapon, which, like, I don't even have the items to craft it.
Right.
I've got this persona that I can't even fuse it. And also, like, the way that he had his personas, like, the abilities, I was like, this persona has like one ability and then all of the rest of the slots are passives.
Right.
Like I would never think of like making a persona that way, right?
Yep.
Because he has them like for very specific things, and it's because like the fight is, well, if you do this thing too early, she's going to kill you in one shot. If you do this, she's going to kill you in one shot. You know, and like it's almost like a puzzle boss.
Yeah, it's
and
wild.
It's like, no, that's fine.
I'm good. You know, there was a time, Julian, when I would get super into that type of thing.
Yeah,
and that time is long past now.
I put 145 hours into this game. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you wanted to go another, 15 hours or whatever just to do this one fight, then you could.
No,
but
it's fine.
Yeah.
And also, but I was worried because I was following the guide, I thought, to the letter, but at some point I fell behind by like one
You'll have that
S-Link interaction on Fuka, who's your navigator.
Yeah.
And so when I tried to go like catch up with her, so I was like, okay, I'm going to push this one off so that I can focus on her. But I forgot that person was involved in a club that only meets on certain days.
Yeah.
Which means that when I went the next day to go talk to them, they weren't there. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Did I just screw myself over? And then, and I will, okay, I'm getting a little bit too into the weeds.
Sure.
Overall, final opinion. Remember when I talked about Slitterhead and I said the game is a 6, but the overall experience for me was a 9?
Yeah, sure.
Persona 3 Reload and also kind of Metaphor ReFantazio, I think, are games that I can acknowledge being 9s.
Yeah.
Where the experience was like a 6 or 7 for me.
Yeah.
And it really does come down, because I play RPGs mainly for character and story.
Sure.
And then mechanics are kind of third, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Persona 3, like I said, I really don't care for the cast. Really didn't care for the story. I think it's got some interesting themes. There were some things that like kind of choked me up that I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
There's like, especially because when it happened, there's like this old lady that you find that you encounter during Aigus's social links.
Sure.
Where her cat is missing. And you find the cat and you bring it back to the old lady. It's like, oh, it's sweet because like, this is like the old lady's like probably final cat.
Yeah.
Right. And then she comes back later and she says, oh, the cat ran away again. I think, but it's okay. I think she just wanted to go somewhere to die.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to see her one last time. And I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like,
that's intense, right? Yeah.
Overall, like what's actually going on through the course of that 145 hours is kind of nothing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's like, it really much feels like with great power comes great shrug.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're up during this extra hour and we've got these magic things. I guess we'll go do something. There's a tower there.
There's a tower over there. Let's go see what's going on over there. Yeah. That's kind of the game. And then once a month, some big thing will show up and fight us or whatever. At least that's kind of how I remember it going.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's, for a large part of the game, there's not really like this, like, mission, right? It's more of just like, well, we don't know what this tower is. Let's go explore more of this tower. There's not really an antagonist other than, like I said, there's these other Persona users called Strega that are quasi-threatening.
Yeah.
But kind of in the way that the Empire in Final Fantasy 15 was quasi-threatening, which is most of your interactions are fine.
Yeah.
Like, that was my big problem with Final Fantasy 15 is like, oh, we've got this evil empire that's like supposed to be all oppressive and stuff. And every time that you have an actual interaction with them in story that's not just like a random battle, like in the world, they're just like, yeah, go on through.
Yeah.
Like, and like even like the emperor like of this empire, like he dies off screen. It's like whatever. Like it's such a weird nothing burger of a plot point.
15 is so weird.
It is, yeah. And I feel kind of similarly with this one where like things don't really come together until like the very, very end.
Mm-hmm.
And even then it's like, all right, like, sure. And I dude, they really, really want you to give a shit about Aigis.
Yeah.
To the point that, like, I think they expect you to romance her because even when you, like, say, I'm not interested and I've already got a girlfriend or whatever, she still acts like she's the one.
Dude, it feels like they have one or two characters like that in all the games. Like they don't know what to do if you don't romance them.
Mhm.
Like, cause, and like, if you, I also truly feel that they really don't expect you to like do all the social links. I think maybe, at least in one shot, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of,
especially this one, because you know, in this one, you know, you can't you don't have social links with like your male party members,
right?
And so all of the women in your party confess their love to you, like in the next to last social link, which is super awkward, especially if you've already like you know, romanced someone, which I had. But like, also, unlike Persona 5, where you got like a couple like nice additional scenes with your love interest. Once you get to the end of your romance, a social link, that's it. That's done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a PlayStation 2 game, to be fair.
Yeah, and again, you know, it was the first of this style,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
So you know, I give it a lot of passes for that. I'm in some ways I am comparing it to Persona 5 only because that's my only point of comparison.
That makes sense,
but not to like deduct points from Persona 3. Like if I hadn't played Persona 5, I would feel the same way that I do about you know, a lot of this stuff. I might be like a little bit more impressed with certain things because it would be my first time seeing it. But
yeah, the social links thing, like I think the only one that they actually expected you to, or like figured everybody would do all of them was like Metaphor. Like I feel like they've started to balance it around like, okay, people are actually trying to do all of them now. Maybe we should fucking balance the game a little bit more towards that instead of like doing the new game plus thing.
Yeah, because again, 145
it's
hours.
Nuts. Oh, it's nuts.
You know, even considering that, okay, I'm gonna have like all of my like levels for you know, so it would make Tartarus runs a lot faster. A lot of that game is just, even if I shave off like 45 hours off of that playthrough, that's still another 100 hours in this motherfucker for a new game plus.
Yeah. And yeah, like the romance thing, like even in 5, like there are characters in there where I'm like I don't know what their purpose is other than to be the romantic interest. Like Kasumi, for example, outside of her at the end. But like Kasumi like shows up and it is just like, oh my god, like it is this supposed to be like the canon one? I don't really get it. It's
for Royal, the new
Royal,
character.
Yes. When they threw her in there, I was like, okay, like Jesus, like it's a little much. Like that's like her only.
Especially because apparently Royal isn't canon. Because like I know Persona 5 Strikers, they don't acknowledge any of that shit. Like she's not in it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's what a weird game. Well, at the same time, you could probably write her out because like of what. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. They're always kind of weird with the love interest stuff. But they'll figure it out maybe eventually.
But yeah, and so that's another thing, right? So, and I think you're right as far as they don't expect you to do all the social links. Yeah, okay. You can't get Mitsuru as a social link until you get top of the class in your exams.
Sure.
Which means that you have to like level up your academics all the way and get all the quizzes right.
Yep.
So it's like you're not probably going to do that on your first time through without a guide. So that's a huge one right there. But that also means that she starts very late in the game.
Yeah.
And then Aigis starts even later. You basically have about a month to max out her social link. I think I ended up having about 5 days to spare where I was kind of like, okay, I've done everything. I think I took an extra night to go to Tartarus to try to grind. And I was like, okay, grinding in this game is not good.
Which is probably why they wrote that social link like that, because in their minds, they're probably like, look, if anybody does this, they are really into Aigis and they are probably trying to romance Aigis. So we gotta give them something.
Right. But I mean, but here's the thing though, is that even if you don't do her whole social link, the way that like the last bits of her in the game are portrayed, she seems like she is the main character's one true love. Like, you know, she is always going to be there for, I don't know.
See, I always got that, having never played through the entire thing, I always got that vibe from like Yukari was the canon love interest in that one. Like that was always my head canon love interest in it. Because Like she's like like front and center in the opening and all this other stuff. She's like the first person you meet and like has a whole thing going on at least.
She is, and again, like all of the social links, like if you get her all the way, like she will confess her love to you. But
yes,
but the thing is, once you turn her down, she just treats you like a friend, and it's fine. But again, the Igus stuff, no matter what, like even if you didn't like do her social links, like just the way that she's like, the way that her dialogue is, and the way that she treats the main character and everything, and the way the game ends, it really feels like, y'all really want me to fuck this robot, don't you? Like
they really do.
And look,
Julian.
I'm down with fucking a robot, but not this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I
don't like
really,
that one.
I don't like Igus. She's slightly better than Ken. Ken might be my least favorite party member in a video game. And again, that's recency bias. Like that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm sure it's not true.
I get it.
I'm sure I've seen worse, but god damn, what an annoying piece of shit.
Yeah.
So the last boss, it was funny because I remembered Xavier say, or actually I don't think I remembered. I think it was because I was listening to an old NWP episode when I uploaded it to YouTube. It was a music episode.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's the one where Xavier like submitted the final boss theme, and he was talking about it's got like 10 plus phases, blah blah blah, and like if you die on one of them, you got to start over. And I was like sweating bullets when I got to that last boss.
Oh, of course.
Steamrolled it. Now again, I have no idea if like the game is rebalanced to be easier on the remake.
Hard to say like how much of your like going through and doing all the achievement stuff and all that stuff actually helps towards that and shit like that. Because I steamrolled a couple things in 5 that were like supposed to be hard, I'm pretty sure. Because I had like just one overpowered thing that was just there. I wasn't dying. Like there was no way.
Yeah, and I had a few personas that were like I didn't do this in Persona 5, but like I had a couple personas that had like a couple maxed out stats.
Yeah,
and like one of them was magic, one of them was physical, and like the physical one had like myriad arrows, which was it would hit like 4 to 5 times with like weak arrow strikes, but it was like no, that would take out like a full phase. Like if it was like susceptible to physical attack.
You'll have that. Yep, you'll have that. It's hard to say if that's the new game or if that's just because you bested the game or whatever.
Yeah, because a lot of these like remakes and remasters, like you would think that they would be harder to like appeal to like the harder core legacy fans, but in a lot of cases, the like, it's my big complaint about the pixel remasters for Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like they sanded off every single like rough edge.
I believe it.
On the difficulty of all of those games.
Yeah.
Like they're completely toothless at this point. And I feel that Dragon Quest 3 might be kind of a similar way. And then, like we talked about Suikoden earlier, it's like that game was kind of always easy to begin with. So even putting it on hard, I'm not expecting.
Suikoden ain't much. Yeah. I played the original one like not that long ago, and it was I remember just steamrolling the entire thing. It's kind of relaxing in that way because you just kind of just plow through it, and it's kind of great.
It's not that I didn't enjoy it, right? I'm glad that I played it. I already bought Persona 4 Golden to start next month.
There you go.
So I'll be playing that again, over the course of the year. Although apparently there's rumors now, because Persona's 30th anniversary is supposed to be next year, or is next year rather.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of rumors of like them kind of pulling out all the stops. Like there's scuttlebutt of like a Persona 2 remake, a Persona 4 remake, and then of course like at least the reveal trailer for Persona 6.
Yeah.
With probably like a 2027-ish release.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It would make sense that like I start Persona 4 next month, and then they're like, hey, Persona 4 remake coming out next year. It's like, god damn it. Because probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play all the way through Persona 4 month to month. And then I think I'm going to buy the PS5 version of Persona 5 Royal and play it again, like a third time, to compare, because I'll have played 3, 4, and 5 like year after year.
Yep.
And, like kind of really solidify like my feelings on the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because they are very much like, even though they're not like connected per se, they are kind of a whole.
Yeah, there's some loose threads in there for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the Velvet Room stuff. So
I was thinking about it as I was wrapping this game up. Because there's nothing to say that these games aren't in the same universe, right? And I know that like there's stuff that are like little Easter eggs and stuff like that, but those could also be Final Fantasy style things where it's like it's not confirming that it's the same universe, it's just a reference. You know what I mean? But it would be kind of cool if a social link in a later game was a grown-up version of like a character from a previous game. Yeah, even if it's not a main character, even if it's just like one of the social links.
Right.
Just something to have that continuity, right?
That'd be good.
You know, this game is set in 2009, right? And then they're kind of like the MCU movies where they're kind of set in the year that they release.
Yeah.
So it's very conceivable that you could have like a 37-year-old version of like one of the students from this game as like as a social link in Persona 6 or something.
So I think they are in the same universe, and I think the proof of it is the fighting game. If memory serves, there is like a full-blown story mode in the Persona 4 fighting game. And
and I'm aware of that. But is it one of those like Elseworlds things or like a what if comic?
Don't know because I've never played it. So if anybody out there has more info on that, let me know. I remember I started it and then I kind of went, oh, this is set after 4. I should play 4 before I start this. So I didn't finish it. But yeah, I mean like I forget the guy's name, the white-haired kid from
Sonata.
Yeah, Sonata. I knew his last name. That's the bad part, but I couldn't remember his first name. Sonata's in there. The redheaded girl's in there. A couple other ones I think are in that fighting game, but a lot of them are from 3. So I don't know exactly how the worlds collide there, but I think they do, and I think I don't know. That's a fascinating thing to ask.
Yeah, because, you know, ostensibly, like, you know, these characters don't have access to their personas by the end of the game because you kind of get rid of, you know, the Dark Hour, which is fueling their personas. But in the universe, Persona users still exist. So, like, it would be kind of cool to, like, be a Persona user in, like, Persona 6 and then come across a previous Persona user who's like, I know what you're doing. Yeah. You know, I've got some advice for you. Like, you know, like, I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, also, like I've said, like, I've also liked the idea of, like, especially with, like, the Persona 5 cast of, like, yo, what if, like, 15 years later, they have to go inside Ryuji's palace because, like, he's kind of gone, like, on a bad path, right? And now he's got a palace, and it's like up to like a new set of Persona users
setting up some crypto schemes. We got to stop him,
right? I've always thought of him as just joining the Yakuza because he just seems
that could also be one.
Yeah. Again, you know, glad I played it. The experience was definitely like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah,
but I can acknowledge the quality of the game.
Sure,
you know, and I understand its importance. I'm really curious to see how playing the older version of Persona 4 goes, because you know I'm going into it being aware that it is a much older game, right? It's not going to have a lot of the bells and whistles that these last 2 games that I played did, which is fine.
Yeah.
But you know, I've heard so much about the story and the characters.
People love 4. People really like 4. So yeah, I've only gotten past like the intro dungeon on 4, and it took a while to get to that, but I remember that was as far as I got. But
I think it's got the best intro. Like
it's got a lot of shit going for it. It like is actually intriguing right off the rip. I mean,
well, I meant just like the intro song.
Oh, like, yeah. Oh yeah, that one's really good too. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. But yeah, well, that's good. It seems you didn't hate it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, there you go.
I hate Ken.
Well, that's fair. Sometimes we have to hate a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate a lot of children, but
what are you gonna do?
He takes the cake.
What are you gonna do? What's to be done?
This fucking sucks, man. Like,
how was the dog? Isn't there a dog?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he's a waste of a party slot.
Yeah.
I will say that he ended up being like one of my main characters because of certain abilities.
Yeah.
So he's the one that I took for like the final like run and battles. He's an adorable dog. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
there you go.
His design is like amazing, and like his facial expressions are priceless.
Yeah.
And the voice actor that they got to do his barks and whines and growls and stuff, perfect.
Nice.
Great job. I just wish that like he wasn't a party member, because
but what if we made the dog a party member?
They did.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
dumb.
I don't know. What if it was a cat?
Dumb.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Just checking our biases here.
Because I'm down with Morgana. Like, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they were okay.
Never understood why it would, like, Morgana is a he, but has like a woman's voice and also a woman's name. But
yeah,
it always threw me off.
It's tough to say, really. But a fair warning for 4 people apparently hate the Morgana like character in that one.
I listened to most if not all of Square Root's playthrough it back in the day. Yeah. So I'm fully aware of Teddy.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's a problem.
Yeah. They seem.
But here's the thing, though, also is that like sometimes things that other people like really find a problem, I'm just like, whatever. It's, it doesn't bother me.
I know how it is.
Yeah. It's weird sometimes.
It do be weird sometimes.
Yes.
But anyway,
I think that's a show, Justin.
That's a show, Julian.
Yes. It's not even Scott's Day. Holy shit.
No.
Getting out of here early.
Yeah. It's good.
Oh, another thing that like only happened once to me in the last like 5 years, Justin?
Scott's Day?
No.
Oh, okay.
Getting sick.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I haven't been around people in an office. And it's like I already feel like I'm coming down with something. It's like I cannot afford to get sick anytime soon.
Well, that's adopt the true American pastime of just going in and getting everyone else sick. Fuck them.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's like how is this act?
I know it's crazy. Yeah. I work in a factory, and like that's just what we do there. People just show up and like, oh man, I feel like shit. And it's like, you probably shouldn't have came in. Well, I can't afford not to, so here I am. But at least
sick. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I would imagine that in a factory, like there's probably like a pretty good amount of space between people, because it's a large.
Sometimes depends. Yeah. Sometimes you are right on top of somebody else, though. It's either or.
Right.
I like where I work. I have a full fucking like conveyor belt in front of me that I have to wait on, and a robot behind me that goes in between me and somebody else, and a cage blocking most of that shit. So that's fine. But like other people are like right next to like the other person because they're passing, it's a whole thing. Assembly lines, catch the fever.
All right. Well, you know where to find us. Not going to belabor it this week. Thanks as always. Oh, I will say real quick, we do have questions or comments, concerns. We'll save those for next week.
Sure.
And if you want to add to the comments, questions, and concerns, you can email us. The email address is thestateselectpod@gmail.com. You can comment on the Patreon or on the YouTube versions of the show. Again, on Patreon, you don't have to be a paid member. The show is unlocked to the public on Wednesdays, so don't worry about that. But you do have to have a Patreon account, so there's that. And you can also join our Discord, and there is a channel in there that you can throw them in, and the Discord is in the show notes. Thanks as always to the wonderful Megan McDuffie for our theme song and interstitial tracks. Thanks to friend of the show, John Gholson, for being our announcer and providing us with our artwork. We're going to hang out at the movie theater on Sunday and just watch a bunch of movies, so that's going to be fun. But that's going to do it for this episode of The State Select. I thought Justin would react to that, but he didn't.
I wasn't paying attention.
Julian
I was
Titus.
reading something.
He's been Justin Ham. We've been The State Select. Signing off.
Uh-huh.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.